Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. And yes, and welcome to another weekly recap. I'm going to be mixing it up in the next coming weeks, so we're going to get a little bit of recaps. I'm working on my 4-part series on nibs, and I'm prepared to publish part 1, so that may replace one of the weekends. So if you don't see the recap coming on either on this weekend or next weekend, well, you'll know it'll be replaced by something just as interesting, if not more. So there you have it. So, folks, without any further ado, stay tuned for Fountain Pen Therapy's weekly recap, October 20th, 2024. Okay, so we're back, and let's look at some product news. Hey, why don't we? We'll take a look at what I recommend you take a look at. First of all, as I had the habit of doing lately, is that let's look at the Chinese pen market and to see what's out there. First thing is first. Here, let me cut to my computer. Here we go. This is the first interesting thing that I've seen from Dieman, and it's I guess it's their first pen since months. I guess since their first year of the Dragon pen. I guess it's this Dieman 7. It's supposed to be in wood, stable wood. I hope they don't have the same problems as they've had with a number 6 nib. I've ordered one of these. I believe I've ordered it with hand polished. Medium in this blue cover. It comes also a color. It comes also in this green. We'll see what gives. I should be receiving it soon, and when I do, you'll be the first one to take a look at it. Next thing is, again, I repeat, I showed this to you last week, but in case you missed it, Mahjong V60, beautiful pen. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. This is an obvious Omas imitation. And here again, I believe I chose the pen with a hand polished nib, and I believe I've ordered it in gold, black, and in that yellow silver. Stay tuned for that. What else have I got for you? I wanted to mention this thing. Look at the fact that the Chinese are now getting into gold nibs at incredible prices. Well, here it is, the Yunlai 900 with a number 9 18-karat gold nib. The pen is made out of titanium alloy. It's going for $795, but you know what? When you take a look at some of the Italian pens that are going for $800, the Montegrappas, the Viscontis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I guess... just that I can't try one of these things. That's my problem. But take a look at that nib. It's huge. If anybody's ordered that pen, had the courage to do it or the money to do it, please let me know. Let us all know. Okay, so that's on the Chinese pen front. What have I got you outside of China? What have I got for you? Well, we have Peyton Street. As usual, they got some very interesting pens there for you to look at. One of the interesting is these Platinum 3776 Centuries, different nibs at $90. That could be something interesting for you guys to take a look at in the event that you have not yet procured a Platinum 3776. There's, of course, all kinds of vintage pens that you can take a look at and see if you're interested. So that's Peyton Street. Next, Estabrook Stilo Estile's got this beautiful, and I guess others might have it as well, but this beautiful Esterbrook. I've kind of neglected Esterbrook. I've got the, one ST oversized pen, and that's it. People have asked me, how come you don't like Esterbrook? It's not a question I don't like it. I'm just not attracted by their offerings. But let me tell you, this Pen King of the Night limited edition with this beautiful color is something that I'm tempted to procure. So there you have it. Stilo Estile is offering that for $286.89 or 0.89 euros. What else have I got for you? Gold Spot. I noticed that Gold Spot's got these Ferris wheel press inks. They're 10 milliliters, but maybe they finally have a bottle that's decent and that won't tip over. I've stopped ordering all Ferris wheel press inks because of their bottles. And maybe this is 10 milliliter. I don't know how big that, the opening there is, but it certainly looks like it's a bottle that can be manageable compared to their others. And they've got all kinds of different colors. So for those of you who are interested, there you have it. Gold Spot's got them. Next, Appleboom has got, let me just click that. Yeah, it's got these 106th anniversary set, and you can get the whole set for like $80, I believe, which is interesting. But there you have it. They're different inks, basic colors. You got the green, the violet, the light blue, the red, the darker blue, and the brown. So I may very well order it from Appleboom. It's certainly on my things, my things to buy list, so to speak. So there you have it. In terms of products, those are the things that I thought you might be interested in. There's not much more than that. I mean, that I wanted to point out for you folks. So there you have it. We've done the products. What's next? Well, let's go to our hauls, if you want, the product hauls, and we'll start with the ink haul. We'll be right back. Okay, so for the ink haul, I've got 3 inks. You recall that last week I had proposed to you 3 Conklin inks, and these are the 2 that are left that I've ordered. And I've got a Chinese Hero blue ink, which I think is really interesting, that I wanted to show you at a very, very good price. In fact, the Hero ink I will put up just for your own information on the screen here. Let me just give me a second. Yeah, just bear with me here. Okay, I'm not getting where I want to go. Okay, here we go. Let me just cut there. Okay, yeah, Hero, 1878, ink, 12 colors available. They're usually much cheaper than this, but I thought they're interesting. At least the blue is an interesting ink. And I thought I'd give you, for some of you who've been wondering whether or not these inks are worthwhile, I thought I'd give you just a glimpse of how they swatch and write. And that may be useful for your ink hunting, as they say. So let's go back to my overhead camera. So there you have the 3 inks. In terms of how I'm going to do this, as we did last week, I'm going to be doing these now on swatches. That way, at the same time that I do this pen swatching for you, I'm doing it also for my collection, so I can take these little cards, which are wearing gold cards, by the way, and be able to put them in my binder where I keep all of my inks. Okay, the first one is this denim blue from Conklin. Looks like a very dark blue. These Conklin inks are very, very much saturated and Wow, this is really dark. Yeah, almost blue-black. And we'll dip that for my... So this is Conklin. Yeah, they call it blue denim, but I have a hard time seeing the blue, I got to tell you. It looks like a very dark blue-black, if you will, but we'll see how it dries. So we'll put that there. The next one is what they refer to as bright red. So, you know, these are all staple colors. Here we go. Wash that out. Get my nib. So this is Conklin. And it's bright red. Very bright. Nice saturated red. So that's very good. Thank you. Very, very nice. Here we go. And now we will test this Hero Blue. I really like this Hero Blue, I got to tell you. I'm going to try to ink one of the pens with this ink that we'll be looking at, just so that we can actually look at it in a more in-depth way in terms of how it writes. But take a look at that. Very nice, kind of a dark blue color. Very saturated. Good flow. Never had a problem with the flow. It's not a dry ink by any stretch of the imagination, at least not to my recollection. So this is Hero. And frankly, I don't know what the name of this ink is. Maybe, I think they just refer to it as blue-black. Very smooth. Yeah, very nice. So there you have the three swatches. Just give me a few minutes to dry up, and then we'll see how they perform when they're dry, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the ink swatches. Just a little bit wet here still, but the first one, this Conklin Blue Denim, it's nice. You can see there's a little bit of sheen there. It's a dark black blue, I would say. It's not even blue-black. It's black blue, but it gives it that nice gray blue shading, and we'll see later on how it writes in one of my ink pens. But very, very nice. I think it's a nice color. The Conklin Bright Red, yeah, you can see a little bit of that gold sheen there. I'm not sure that really comes up when you write with it, but it's a very nice bright red. So if you're looking for a bright red that writes, that performs really well in terms of an ink, Conklin, and they're not expensive. Big bottle for very little. This is the Hero Blue Black. Dude, look how interesting this is. It has a little bit of red sheen in it, a little bit of shading. It writes blue-black. This is truly a blue-black as opposed to the other one, which I would say is a black-blue. Okay, so there you have the three inks swatched, and hope you like those, and they'll be added to my collection. So that's it for the ink haul. We're back with the pen haul to begin this product purchases that I either had delivered or purchased this week. First of all, the three pens that I want to show you. I have plenty others that are in the pipeline, but three at a time, so to speak. First of all, this Jinao Wudao, I guess is the way they pronounce this, although I've seen it also as Gusto, or intriguing pen, very heavy cap. We will review it in detail, but there you have it. I have it, and I'll be able to share my views on it with you. It will be reviewed and sometime very soon. Here is the Asvine, very nice pen, by the way. This is the Asvine V200, a déjà vu, if you will, but it's in this black matte finish in terms of the metal, and smoky demo style. I like the way Asvine is written there and the way it kind of pops. Very nice. There you have it. And finally got my Pilot Custom 743 with that FA number 15 nib. Very controversial nib for me. I mean, a lot of people have said that this is the nib to have when you talk about soft nibs and even flex nibs. I've got my own view on this, and I think I'm going to be doing a kind of a comparison with other soft nibs, maybe part of my nib series or even apart. But I've got my own views, and I'm waiting for the 742 with a number 10 14 karat FA nib, because apparently that one is a little bit juicier and more flexy. But there you have it. That's the 743. So we will probably introduce this pen and review this pen in the context of a comparison, maybe along with the 742, since it's a pen that has been reviewed by many, many, many people. And I'm not going to, not going to show you anything different other than my own personal comparison with other nibs, which I thought would be interesting. So there you have my pen haul for this week. What is next? Well, why don't I show you my my paper haul, and at the same time we can look at the paper and write on it with these three pens, okay? And maybe with another one as well. So what is my pen haul for this, my paper haul for this week? Here is the, let me just back up a little bit so that, so yes, so this is the Enigma Notebook, fountain pen paper type 01, Tarocco design. It comes in this nice sleeve so you can kind of file the notebook afterwards on your library shelves. Beautiful cover. It's almost plasticized, okay, but gives it that very, very nice classy look. Premium fountain pen paper, very nice. As you can see, I bought the plain. I think it only comes in, or there may be some options. We'll take a look at that in a second. So it's a Tomoe River paper. I've got a sneaky suspicion that we're talking about Sanson paper at this stage. But here's the website, and I'll show you what's interesting about it. First of all, the first interesting thing is that it's $28.75. So very cheap, but it is a B-grade clearance notebook. You can either have it in dotted or blank. I sold out for blank. I have blank. And when you take a look at the details, B-grade sale. Due to process variations, some of the Enigma A5 notebooks are classified as B grades due to various cosmetic issues such as dented covers or corners, spine glue alignments, etc. None of these issues affect the writing performance nor the strong binding of these notebooks, so it's a good opportunity to try a 384-page Tomoe River paper notebook at substantial discounts. I think it's worth it, folks. I have not been able to see what's wrong with this notebook and why it's B. There must be a reason, but so far so good. Why don't we do a writing sample using those three inks that I proposed for you. So we'll put in a line sheet here, a guide sheet, so it can guide us. First thing is, let's take a look at that bright red, Conklin bright red. So this is Conklin bright red. I gotta tell you, very nice, kind of a Ferrari red, very saturated, very, very bright, very nice. And Conklin inks, like Monteverde inks, and I think they're probably made by the same people, are very, generally very good. Now, this is my Asvine. I have not tested this, by the way, none of these, except for my Pilot. Yeah, this one has the Conklin blue denim. So there's a kind of a slight blue shade there. It's a nice color, actually. It really is. If you're bored with black, you just want to have a little bit of blue. Fits really nicely. And then I have another pen that I just inked. This is an Andean to show you the Hero. Hero blue black. So as you can see, a very nice color. Which brings me to back. Beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful inks. And of course, we can take a look at this. This is the Pilot Custom 743 with the FA 15. I did replace the feed with a Flex Nibs feed that's specifically designed for the 743 because everybody raved about this change. I've got to tell you that the plastic feed that was there before worked just fine. This is perhaps giving me just a little bit of a wetter line, but we will do a detailed comparison and take a detailed look at this pen in due course. But I did want to just write with it to show you my pen haul. So there you have the pen haul for this week. And we've done the ink, we've done the paper, we've done the pens. So the pen haul is ready, is all done. Next, well, let's take a look at Fountain Pen Therapy Spotlight. What pens did I use during the week? And what pens do I propose to resurrect for you this week? Stay tuned. Okay, we're back for the Fountain Pen Therapy Spotlight. What's in the spotlight? Well, first of all, let's look at the 6 pens I had at the office all week and the pens that I inked and that I've been using this week. In fact, these are the pens that I used in one of my videos as comparisons. And I think it was part of the one of the pens, which was this Trammell. And it's been reviewed, and I will be publishing the review sometime very soon. And those are the pens that I used in comparison, in my size in comparison. And I thought I'd keep them. They were all inked, keep them for the week. And just let me give you an idea of how they performed. So this is Tomio River. First of all, my Tebaldi. This is my Tebaldi. Double broad. And very nice. Doesn't really write like a double broad. I would say to you maybe, a medium broad more than anything else. This is my Trammell T630, which will be reviewed. It's already reviewed, but will be published sometime very soon. Give you my views sometime soon. This is an Ongdian, and I forget the number. Wrote really nicely. This is the, what do they call it? The Hillol, or, well, you know what? You need to know. Just give me a second here, because that's not fair that I'm not. Yeah, it's a pen called Huhill. Strange name. I just couldn't remember it. Writes really nicely. Smallish, but juicy. Extremely smooth nib. Extremely smooth. And then I have my lemon. Yeah, it's dried up on me. Yeah, it's dried up on me. Is there any ink? This is a piston filler, is it not? Yeah, this is a piston filler. So it may have, still has ink, just dried up on me. Used it a little bit at the beginning of the week, I guess, and stayed a week without being used, and there you go. It's dried up. Ah, yes, and this is the... yeah, that lemon Little Prince. Check out my review of this pen. I recommend it. Look how nice and juicy it is. Very nice. I recommend this pen. Take a look at my review, folks. And if I don't convince you there, I'll never will. And look at that. It's yeah, it's a real copy. Let me tell you, it's got 5 stars instead of 6. But it's a nice imitation, good weight, writes really well. So anyway, those are my 6 pens that I had inked during the week, that I used during the week. Stay tuned for my pen resurrection. Okay, so what are the pens that I'm resurrecting for you this week? Well, I'm resurrecting I've got 3 Hongdian, and what is it, D5. I've got, and a D5S, which is the D5S is the black one, fine. And these are the D5. So these are the 2 piston fillers, and this is the cartridge converter. And I've got it in fine and extra fine. Then I've also got, and they're kind of gold plated nibs, not gold nibs, but just gold colored nibs, if you will. This is my A6, and this is my A8. So that's what I propose for you this week. Or is it A9? Hold on. Yeah, A8. So there you have it. No, A9. Sorry, I had to check that. A9. Couldn't see it without the loop. So it's an A9, and why don't we see how these pens write? Again, same paper. This is a Hongdian. You know, I had forgotten how nice these pens were. Hongdian A9, number 8 size nib, and so juicy and springy. Who needs a gold nib when you have nibs like this? Let me tell you, folks, this nib is just, and it gives me nice line variation, I think. See the spring? Look at that. Very nice. Very nice. Hongdian A9. Recommended. Very nice pen. I enjoy that this week. What do we got next? Well, this is the D5S, so it's the cartridge converter with that black coated nib, and this is a fine. Once it gets going, but it always hard starts, this black nib, for some reason. I think that coating just, I don't know if it affects the tip. It shouldn't, but never loved these dark colored black nibs. For some reason, they always run a little bit short. You see that? A little there, the skipping there. Whereas I don't get it. I don't think I'll get it from the others, but we'll try. We'll take a look at my D5. This is the fine, but still a nice writer. Well, it skipped there too, so I was wrong. A little more spring to it. Yeah, skip there. A little thicker, but yeah, still, you still get some spots where it. But I wouldn't let that really affect the writing experience, because once it gets going, it's just a very, very nice writing experience. I got to tell you, these nibs are just beautiful. Okay, this one didn't hard start. This is the extra fine. Very nice. I'll enjoy these this week. And I'll top it off with my A6. There you have it. So it's going to be the Hongdian week. Yeah, very springy. So I tested the gold plated, the black, and the chrome. Very nice. In the number 5 size, that is. And then, of course, I've got that number 8 size in the A9. So those are the pens that I will use this week. There they are, the Hongdians. And let you know how they perform next week. There you have it. Now, in terms of pens that I have in the pipeline, let me tell you what I've got. What planned for you, and there's quite a few things here, and we're all going to announce what we're going to be doing. And first of all, I got Lotus and Vizier Indian pens. Both are sending me nice pens for further review. I think that ultimately they're probably going to be two pocket pens or pocket pen styles. So I'm looking forward to that, kind of change it up a little bit. Apple Boom is going to send me some pens. Apparently, he's confirmed. I don't know what they are, but he's going to send me some pens on loan for me to review. So just thank you very much for that. And when I get them, I'll let you know what pens they are. I should be getting my Pilot 742 FA10 nib tomorrow. I've got Pilot 74 on in the pipeline. Of course, I got the Majon V60 that I spoke to you about, the Ongdian A7 that I spoke to you about. I've got a vintage Waterman 55 that's on its way. We'll see how that works out for me. And of course, I got that Montaigu 306. And I've put pictures up on the screen for you to take a look at all the pens that are in the pipeline and that I should be receiving sometime soon, along with all the other pens I've had to review. So I'm going to keep busy for a little while, and you'll have plenty of new pens to take a look at least from this channel. So what's next? Well, let's look at the YouTube spotlight. Be right back. Okay, so YouTube reviews. What YouTube reviews? I mean, there's plenty, as you can well imagine, but the three that sparked my interest are, first of all, Goulet pens. You can see that Goulet pens now is struggling without Drew. I've got to tell you, they're really missing Drew. That's my honest opinion. But they've resurrected, from what I understand, Q&A. They did the 284th episode last week, and they've just posted the 285 or 285th episode this week. I mean, Mr. Goulet is always interesting. He's always got some very interesting questions that he tackles. So I'm glad that there's more than just advertising of pens, and that Goulet Pens is back, so to speak. So there you have it. That's for your pleasure. Then I would recommend my friend Matthew at the Wet Pen. He is reviewing this week 3 Indian pens. Take a look at this, folks. I mean, you can see the picture. It's the Mammoth, a Canwright Mammoth. You have the number 9, which is an older model, and he's got the Mammoth X, which is a new model of the Mammoth, which are just huge pens that rival with some of my Ranga pens. I'm very tempted to get that Mammoth number 9. I disagree with Matthew. I prefer the older model as opposed to the new one. But so he's reviewing that. Take a look at that. They're not the greatest quality pens in terms of just the finish, but they're interesting. Then you got this Canwright Kingfisher. This is a kind of a spin on my Kingfisher. I did a review. If you look that up, Canwright Kingfisher, you'll see one of my reviews of a similar pen, just slightly different trimmings, but really the same pen. And so those are the 3 pens that he takes a look at for Canwright. Excellent reviews as usual from Matthew of the Wet Pen. The third is my friend Alexandra Richardson, who is this week decided to interview David Parker of Figpoot with her 20 questions. So I invite you to take a look at, and you'll get David, speaking to you in a little more less formal fashion, which is always fun. And I'd like to announce that I've confirmed with Alexandra that I will be interviewed in November, and she'll ask me the 20 questions. So I'll get my turn at that as well, November 20th. But I'll announce it. I think it's November 20th. But I don't know when it's going to be published. Maybe published in December. But I will keep you informed when that, of course, all happens. So those are my 3, YouTube reviews that I would focus on and that I wanted to focus on. As far as fountain pen therapy is concerned, what have we got in store for you? Well, we got plenty. Let me just, we got Penaider La Grande Bellezza that's been published already. So please take a look at that video. It's not doing as well as I thought it would, but it's a beautiful pen. It's got that very nice quill nib. And if nothing else, you should take a look at that quill nib writing sample. You'll be surprised. Then I've got the Trammell T630 that's going to go up sometime soon. And I've got my review of the Mayora Ultra Ogiva T22 titanium nibbed number 8 size nib that's going to go up soon. And I've got part 1 of the nib series that's going to be aired as well. So that's what's in the pipeline for fountain pen therapy. Now, I'd like to end with just a Q&A and some maybe some editorial comments, if you will. People have asked me many times over whether the Delta Dolce Vita oversize that I purchased from Peyton Street, the original, and what the difference between that original is and the Delta Dolce Vita oversize that Delta is now selling. Again, I will repeat, during my interview of Nino Marino, when I visited his factory during the summer, he confirmed to me very clearly, and I have it on, I have, in fact, you can see him saying it in one of my videos, where I'm, dealing with that Delta factory visit. And he makes it very clear that it's exactly the same pen, except for the nib. So there you have that. Next question is, I've been getting a lot of reviewers, telling me that the Pilot FA10 and the Pilot FA15 are better than maybe my quill nib and maybe better than my Scribo. Verdict's still out. Going to be doing a detailed review or comparison or shootout of those 3 pens and maybe more. So stay tuned for that. But I disagree. I'm really disappointed with the FA15. I've got to be frank with you. I don't think it's as soft as people make it out to. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort to get that pen to get it to flex. So you got to be one of these flex specialists. Otherwise, it just writes a fine line, in my view. And once in a while gives you some line variation. Stay tuned for the FA10. The verdict's still out. I should be getting it sometime soon, probably this weekend, but not in time for this recap. Okay, I'm back, and I'm just another postscript. The fun thing about these videos is when you're doing a recap on the weekend, is that as you're doing the recap, filming it, editing it, other reviewers may come up with some very appropriate either reviews, comments, and in this case, it's exactly what happened. As you know, I'm almost obsessed with the fact that my Pilot 15A nib is not giving me the performance that I would have hoped it did. It then forced me to, in fact, purchase the Pilot Custom 742 that has the FA10 nib, which, based on all the reviews I've seen, it's unanimous. It's a much flexier sort of a nib, despite the fact that it's smaller. And I got a comment from Wendi at Wendi Sue from FountainPenNews, who has started the series, and she's wonderful, by the way. She's a flex expert specialist. So she has the wonderful handwriting, and she could really demonstrate to us what these pens can do. She started this series by the name of Flexploration. She's done series number 1, which focuses on the fountain pen revolution flex nib. And then she did a series 2 where she actually compares the Pilot FA nibs, the number 10 and the number 15. It's very sweet of her. She mentioned me and said, I'm going to dedicate this episode to Vincenzo because he's struggling with the number 15, and I'm going to try to demonstrate the difference. And she does an absolutely wonderful job doing so. I therefore recommend that you look at that video because you'll be able to quickly understand why one is in fact flexier than the other. I'm still waiting for my 742. I was hoping to receive it. I bought it through Amazon, a little more expensive, but just so that I could get it quicker for this recap. But I've not been able to get it, and by the time I do, it's going to be too late for me to comment on it. But having said that, thank you very much, Wendi Sue. So wonderful review. I recommend it, and you'll be able to quickly see in 8 minutes exactly why one is different from the other, which is excellent. What I propose to do instead, given that Wendi Sue has done just an absolute great job comparing those two, I'm not going to take the time. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to compare just because it's coming from a non-expert, okay, which is, I don't have the flair that she does. She's a calligraphist, and she does that wonderful calligraphy where she really tests those nibs. But what I'm going to propose is, once I get my 742, because, there is the question of, there's a flex nib, which, you could see in some of the vintage pens that I've shown you. You could see in the Mag 600. And then you have nibs that I would qualify less of a flex nib, but more of a soft nib. And the question becomes, how do we compare all of them? I've also had another YouTuber with whom I'm corresponding constantly with, who suggested that somehow, comparing the Pennider quill nib with either the Pilot. Now, the verdict's still out because I don't have my number 10 nib, but I kind of disputed his conclusion with regard to this nib, which is the and I'm going to use the same method Wendi Sue did. Now, her nails were painted, mine aren't, so I'm hoping I'm not doing permanent damage to this nail, but to demonstrate the flex. Now, you see, in this nib, there's very little opening of the tines. What there is a flexibility. Yeah, there it goes. Let me just get rid of that. Okay. There is a flexibility in the nib, in the sense that there's a softness to it, but the tines are not really opening up, the way they would in a flex nib. But the softness of this nib, to me, so far, it is a much softer nib than what I can sense in my, where is it? Do I have it here? Yes, I have. In my FA15. I mean, this nib is very, and I don't know how to describe it, but it gives you a very fine line and a very stiff writing until you kind of press on it, and then, so it's really meant to be for those flex people, to get that line variations. You got it kicks back. In other words, it's got that springy back spring in the nib. But in everyday writing, you see, you could write with this, and it writes like a fine nib with no problems. Very, very juicy, very smooth, with just a little hint of feedback. So in everyday, and I should have said here everyday writing, it gives you that sense. Whereas the Peniter everyday writing is going to go right into that line variation. It's going to give you that thicker line because it just is that way. It's soft. There's very little spring back. So that's the difference. So I think I'm going to want to identify, and I've tried to identify in my collection everything that I would qualify as a soft nib as opposed to a flex. For example, my M1000 is, in my view, a soft nib. The same would go with this number 8 titanium Bach nib, very soft, and that would contrast with for example, the FA15. So I have a few pens here. For example, in this Navlor, I put in a Ancora 18 karat nib. This thing is absolutely luscious, very soft. And I would want to show you what I mean. I also consider I've got the Santini in here. This is the Santini Flexi Stub, which I would not characterize as a true flex, but a soft nib. The same thing would go with this Ogaiva, Mayora Ogaiva T22, with this beautiful number 8 sized titanium nib. These are all, in my view, soft nibs. And I would add the Scribbling Adotta, which I believe is probably in between a flex and a soft nib, because it can give you a thinner line while at the same time give you, with some pressure, a thicker line. So if you write, lightly, and then if you write with a little more pressure, not a lot more pressure, you can get some line variation in it. So this I would characterize also as maybe not a true flex, but more of a soft writer. And I think I'm going to do probably a video comparing these and maybe others. But I did want to give a shout out to Wendi Sue. Thank you very much for that video. I'm now looking forward to that 742. Now, I have not purchased for that. By the way, I did replace in my 743 the feed with the FlexNib factory feed, which is made for this pen. What I noticed is that the ink just is a lot thicker. Get a thicker line and a wetter line. But I never really had a problem of railroading with my original, but that's just because probably I'm not flexing this nib as much as I should. With the 742, I've not been able to get the ebonite feed yet. Again, I'm going to test it with its original plastic feed, see what gives, and if necessary, I will order that modified or that adapted ebonite feed. So there you have it. I thought I add this little excerpt into my video after the fact, so you will forgive the interruptions and the editing, but there you have it. The Hobonichi 2025 is using Sanson paper, and apparently there's a little bit of a controversy. There may be a bad batch because normally speaking, that Sanson paper should not be, feathering Yes, there's some show through because it's a 52-gram paper and very thin, but it should not be feathering and it should not be, ink bleeding. And apparently this reviewer has found that it has. I've looked at let me just show you a couple of examples of the Sanson paper. Where are we here? Okay, here we go. Yeah, the Sanson paper that I have looked at, and I've got 3 samples of it in 3 different notebooks. This is in, let me just show you what it is. It's the Sanson Tomoe River from Yamamoto paper, this pad. This is what I've just written. I've also written with my Mag 600. I don't see any feathering there. Yes, this is a little more. It's got a little more tooth, a little more texture than the original, and I certainly don't see any feathering, outright bleed through. Show through perhaps, we always did, but no bleed through. So I don't have the bad batch. This is the Gale and Leather notebook. Let me just tear that out. So this is the Gale and Leather Everyday Pad, which I believe has Sanson. And again, I don't see any feathering, nor do I see any, even with that heavy Mag 600, which is, gusher. Yes, see-through, but no bleed-through at all. So I'm lucky. I also, that's about it that I wanted to show you in terms of the two Sanson samples that I have. And I'm lucky, I guess. I believe that even this one, which is the Sake Tomoe River, is probably using Sanson. At least this version of it is. And as you can see from all of this, I don't see any feathering at all there. And on the back side, I don't see any bleed through. Do I see some see-through? I certainly do, but we always did. So I guess I have the good batch. I don't have the Obonichi. I don't have the Obonichi 2025. I'm going to pass on it this year just because I've got so many other notebooks, and I'm not going to use Obonichi this year for my office. I'm going to use Kinbor, which is a very cheap replacement, and I'll show you that notebook. I've spoken about it. I finally got it, and I'll show that notebook perhaps next week in my next week's recap. So, the Sanson, we'll stay tuned. We'll keep touch. I've ordered other Tomoe River Sanson notebooks that are in the pipeline. And I think even that Enigma that we just reviewed, in fact, maybe, where is it? The Enigma, here we go. This Enigma was Sanson, and I didn't see any feathering there or any bleed through. So I don't think this is original Tomoe River because it's this year's version. So there you have it. But we'll stay tuned. I'll keep track of that. I'm interested. I just certainly hope that Obonichi hasn't completely botched it this year with that Sanson paper, that switch that they made. In any event, that's it for this week, folks. Thank you very, very much for joining me. Hope that was informative and educational and entertaining. State bene. Please subscribe. I need subscriber, folks. I need more subscribers. I just need more. So if you're looking at this recap, press on that button right there. Where is it? That corner, I think. If you put your mouse there or your finger, it'll pop up. So thank you for supporting this channel. Have lots of fountain pen therapy during the week, and we'll see you sometime soon. Thank you.